time of the week again. Prepare yourself for the surveyors of sauce, the sultans of spaghetti, the whispers in your ears. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the What's Your Spaghetti Policy podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Jacob.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm going to.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I usually find out later. I'm just like, I'll curse.
We actually prefer it if you curse like a ton. Actually, people like we love it.
Demonetize the shit out of us.
Like it's I think that people don't curse enough. Honestly, you know, that's kind of what's wrong with America today. I think is that
that's what's wrong.
Yeah. It's not like anything else. There's nothing else going wrong here. It's just people don't curse enough. I think there's not enough horror. There's not enough cursing. So.
My mother was raised in an Irish and Italian neighborhood in South Philly. She curses like a sailor, and I take after her. So
hell yeah, dude.
I don't trust people who don't curse. I feel like it is an abbreviated form of like
expression.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, we get it, right? Like this is all
it's
bullshit?
Emotional.
Okay,
like
good.
that's what I'm saying. Like if you say, "Oh darn it," like that's just you sound like a prude.
Hey, dude.
Like,
okay.
Damn
Wow. Now I feel like you're kind of coming after me a little bit. So I say darn it all the time.
Just hits better, man.
Yeah.
And when you have kids, though, it's like one of those things where, depending on how it's like, oh, we don't say that, and it's just like, the words, bro. Like they're just words. They're gonna
say it at the house. Don't say it out in school. That's right. You can say it in public. I don't give a shit in public. It's just like don't say it at school because you'll get in trouble.
There's places. There's places that it's what they call in sociology role conflict, right? Like there's a person you are in different scenarios, and you have to make sure that they don't clash, right? And it's just like don't curse when you're on Nana and Pop Pop or whatever. But
I like it. So I think it's fun.
My 14-year-old was playing VR, and I was walking past his room, and I mean like perfect framing, perfect intonation. Just goes, you got to be fucking kidding me. And like I was gonna knock and say something, and I was like, no, he's using it right.
Yeah, it's just like, are you using that in the right context? I just want to make sure real quick. It's fine. You said
yeah.
It
was like I'm like no, it sounded good, sounded natural. It wasn't like being effective. It's like I don't know, just let it go. He's
Yeah,
I can't please every aspect of my kid's life. It's like I don't know, you want to drop an F-bomb go while you're playing VR. That's fine.
I think my son the other day was just like, I forgot what I said, but he basically dropped the F-bomb, and I was like, hey, bro, you're not old enough just yet for that because he's only 8. So it was like, hey, you can't be dropped. You can say shit because that's funny, But
like infamously, my daughter was like 2 years old, and I picked her up from daycare. And like some fucking moron was just like not going or whatever, just like they had stopped and they were turning left and having the turn signal on, and I get irritated easily on the road, and she's like fucking go, and she's like 2, and I'm like you can't even like she said it right. Like, you know what I mean?
The fist bump moment. You're just like, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like, listen, 100% accuracy, 50% warranted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like.
Our approach was like, just don't give attention to it, just don't give attention to it. She says it, hey, like whatever. She says that a lot, like in succession, how kids get like stuck on a word sometimes. It's just like, hey, just chill out a little bit on that. But like, we just don't bring attention to it. And like, it's one of those where in my experience in parenting, how I was raised, it's like, if something is deemed like, ooh, you can't do that, or you can't say that or whatever, like you're going to pique that curiosity and you're going to want to do it. So like with my dad's approach was like, well, whatever, this shit exists, these words exist, whatever, just like, do it.
My parents were always like, wash your mouth out with a bar of soap, dude.
Yeah, I mean.
Jokes on them because I like the taste of soap now. So let's go, dude. Who's the winner here? So anyways.
You got that cilantro gene.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's fine. I think cilantro's fine. It's good. But should we introduce our guest? Yeah, I feel like we should. Yeah, sorry. So sorry.
You gotta be on your toes sometimes when you do this because we all have a mutual friend here in Fred, and something came up and he was like, bro, I gotta bounce. So I was like, hey, no problem. The show goes on without you. So anyways, we're pretty terrible at introductions anyways, but first time guest here. It's always good when we get somebody new here. Ian Mondrick, dude, what's up?
How's it going, guys? Great to be here.
That's
my fault. That was my fault. Don't for a second think that was on you guys. That was all.
He's like, oh yeah, he's got the intro going. I got a time to take a sip. So
I'm great. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I actually I have a day off today.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
there
dang.
was a bunch of ruckus above me right before we started recording. That was everybody in my family leaving for about 9 to 10 hours.
Hell
Damn,
yeah.
So this
dude.
is like yeah, and I mean, and as you both know, as fathers, you might get some downtime, you might get some time at the end of the night when everyone's asleep, but having the house like there's nobody here. Do you know the last time that there's been nobody here? I can't remember. It's been like 18 months.
Yeah.
So
Damn, dude.
it's a big day for me. I'm only slightly hungover. I'm ready to rise to the occasion.
Hell yeah. Well, we won't keep you terribly long because that's precious time and resource right there that you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna dox you. So you can at your discretion give all the details you want. But like before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, let's take a step back here. Let's go back to your origins, man. Let's start at the beginning and
Oh.
how you get this way and how you get into being a writer, how you get into horror and all those sort of fun things.
My brain was fermented and perverted at an early age by 80s culture.
Okay.
I remember uh, uh, like mid 80s going to a grocery store, buying like a 3 pack of comics, or my mom buying them for me, I guess. And they were 2 or 3 issues from Web of Spider-Man's Kraven's Last Hunt. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it,
Absolutely, dude.
but like one of my first experiences with comics was the absolute acid trip of Peter crawling out of the carcass of a spider while he's like dead in some sort of arachnid limbo or whatever. So that was great. That was really kind of damaging to my psyche. And then like just going to see
Hell yeah.
like going to see Cronenberg's The Fly in theaters at the age of 9. I think there's just a level of horror that you saw growing up in that era because it was everywhere. Um, before they had PG-13 ratings,
Right.
and I think that I think it toughened me up. It definitely made me. I feel capable in some ways to deal with the horrors that we're seeing now, right? Because I've kind of been like marinated in it, but all of that weird stuff, it's always kind of been following me around. Like I was writing since I was a very little kid. I've been a comic book fan on and off my entire life. And in some ways I guess really the real reason I do this is because it's like it's a very fun collaborative form of therapy,
Hmm.
right? I get all of the stuff that frightens me. I get to take it, I get to throw it into something and kind of vomit it out and make everybody else deal with it.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, man, that's the best. That's the best form. Some of the best stories come from personal experiences or those sort of things. Where are you from?
I'm from the Northeast United States. I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I was looking on your page. I could have sworn I saw like a short on your page that someone was at Wawa or something. Is that correct? Are you
Yeah,
guys like,
we wait, no, we were in
So we were in North.
Tampa,
No, we were in North Carolina. We
North
went to Wawa.
Carolina.
oh, they have
Damn, dude.
Wawas out down that far? I don't know
Yes.
how regional they are.
Yeah. Wait, was it? I thought we were in Tampa whenever we saw the Wawa.
No.
People make a
Damn.
big deal about that stuff up here. It doesn't really matter that much to me, but
That's
I
mainly the
usually
reason I put a short up there. It's like people talk about it, and we were just filling up with gas. We didn't go
it's
inside,
fine.
so
It's fine. If you want to get a pizza at a gas station, I mean, I guess go to Wawa. But
I just like the
We
term
are
Wawa.
we
So
are located in Tennessee, but I
oh,
was born close to DC.
okay, gotcha.
And
I
we have friends in Philly. I was in Philly
that
like in December 2024.
Do you like
So
Philly? You can be honest.
it's fine. Yeah, I had a good time. I went to a hockey game, had a couple cheesesteaks. I did not go to Pat and Gino's. I went to D'Alessandro's and I don't remember the other one. But
Most people around here don't care.
they,
They're just cheesesteaks. I
yeah,
have no preference. Neither one of those places are my favorite.
right.
Right? You know what I
Like
mean?
they're on every corner.
There's plenty of places to get a good cheesesteak in the area.
Yeah.
The big thing is pierogies around here. I don't know
Yeah.
if pierogies are big where y'all,
damn, dude, I
but
haven't had a pierogi in a hot minute. But it's always like me and my wife used to get the frozen ones.
the Mrs. T's.
Yeah, man, those were really good. I actually like. Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm gonna get some
Jacob's a
pierogies.
big old country boy. He's from like a town that had a population of like 200 people.
Yeah, I don't leave very often.
That's not where he lives now. He moved.
Yeah, dude,
He is
I
a
talk
recluse.
about me and my wife talk about it all the time, but I don't. It's we came from a town that if you don't get out of, you're gonna die there, and it's one of those things where like people, it's fine. Some people enjoy it. It's whatever. I mean, these places wouldn't exist if people didn't enjoy it, right? Because or literally couldn't get out of those towns because they wouldn't exist. People would move away or whatever. But like I just could. We both of us we couldn't do it. Like it's people from our childhood still live there, and it's like, you know, eh, whatever.
This is interesting. I live about 6 blocks from where I grew up, right? And my father grew up this in this area his entire life, and only left for about 6 weeks when he went away to like boot camp or whatever. And my father hated the area that we live in, right? And I started to get that. I was like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Like, I don't want to live. And me and my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, we moved west. We moved to Las Vegas for about 4 years. And we
Dang.
drove through your beautiful state of Tennessee, which is
Sorry.
fucking long. Like we're like it's like
People
gonna be a
don't realize
4 day
it.
trip. We're on the second day, and it's like, all right, beginning of the second day, we're in Tennessee, and it's like the end of the second day, and we're leaving Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's like you get in, you're like, oh, look at these beautiful green rolling hills. I mean, this is great. And like 7.5 hours later, it's like,
Yep.
bro, I want anything else except green rolling
Yeah.
hills,
Can we
please.
get a
People
pallet
don't.
swap
People
or
do
something
not
later?
realize how long it is.
And what is it, the 40 West? Like it goes, it's like because
Yeah.
Tennessee's like a trapezoid, and
Yeah.
it goes from like the farthest
Yeah.
southeastern corner to it's like they designed the highway to go through as much of Tennessee as possible. Right?
And you hit a time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. And then it can't. I'm just like it can't get any worse. I got to get out of Tennessee. I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode. I've seen nothing but the same landscape
You come
for
to
7
Tennessee, you
fucking
don't
hours,
leave
and
Tennessee.
then as the sun is setting, all of the fucking hills roll away. All of a sudden, I can see for like 10,000 miles in one. I can see lightning
Yeah.
150 miles away. Like we're rolling into Mordor, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" And she's like, "Oh, we're in Arkansas now." And okay,
dude.
Oh my god.
does
there's-
it get
and
worse?
And there's
And, like-
nothing in Arkansas either. It's like
Dude.
it's so barren. It's from what I understand. Like we have a family that like grew up in Arkansas, and then one of Shelby's cousins went to the college down there, and it's like, yeah, it's just a joke because it's like there's nothing for miles. It's hilarious.
I grew up in an old house, right? Spiders, centipedes, silverfish, earwigs, all that stuff. I don't have a huge problem with bugs anymore. We stay at a hotel in Arkansas, right? Because I was
Oh,
like,
God.
I can't even drive in the darkness. We get into this room, and I see 3 bugs I can't identify.
Oh no.
The second, I mean, not roaches, not like bed bugs, just like weird flies. Like we slept on top of the covers and like left the next morning. It was just like
Sometimes you
we
have
may
to,
have been
though.
well staying at the base motel. We were in and out of there so quick. Fuck
Yeah, dude.
By the way, sorry if anyone's listening from Arkansas, but
So-
fuck your state. It's terrible.
Bro, I don't even like this state, dude.
I don't even know what I don't even know what is in Arkansas that you could be like, hey, this is come
Pigs.
here. I guess is it pigs? Are pigs big down in Arkansas? I have no like, cops. Are we talking about cops or the actual animal? Like, is
Talking about
Like-
like warthogs, like razorbacks.
oh, I guess yeah, aren't they? Yeah, okay, Arkansas. That makes sense now. Now that I think about it.
But yeah,
I was
mean,
gonna
that-
say Arkansas is like a place where people go when they're like hiding from the police, but that's actually Alaska. So that's like it doesn't
There's
we
that
already have
too,
one
yeah.
of
Well,
those.
then Alaska, you got to take a plane and shit like that. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like where we are, we're like right off the Smokies, so like we have the valleys and the peaks and sort of things, and like we don't get like we're sort of like sheltered somewhat, but then like if you go an hour west towards Nashville, like you're on a plateau.
Yeah, like
And, like-
Murfreesboro is like very.
And, like
that's
people
where
don't realize
very
that like
flat.
Nashville gets hit all the time with like tornadoes and bad weather and shit, and like we get tons and tons of rain, and it's just like that's why it's so fucking green, because like it's a swamp here.
It's
Like,
rained
and
for the last 2 weeks.
dude, it's just
and
like it
it's
never stops.
irritating.
It's a mash, my dogs are going crazy.
I gotta be honest, not a fan of humidity. It's kind of like my least
Bro.
favorite thing.
Same.
Bro,
Honestly,
I-
same.
We
I hate the heat. I want
we
like,
moved. It's not the heat; it's the humidity. So we lived in the desert. Every time I blew my nose for the first 18 months that we lived there, there was like blood in it because that's how dry it was.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you what, like it really is easier to survive in 100-degree dry heat than it is in like 85-degree, 100%
Bro,
humidity heat.
Preach, bud. Because
We came back to get married in 2009. Like we came back to Pennsylvania and like in April or something, and it was like I was in Vietnam. Like I couldn't stop sweating. Like I would get out of the shower and just
Yes.
keep sweating. It's just
Dude,
insane.
I did that yesterday, man. I was like, I took a shower
to-
and then
This
I
is
came and
great.
cleaned out the car, and I was like still sweating, and I was like,
Yeah.
I just took a shower. Come on, can you stop?
Dude, I hate it.
So
I hate it. I want to like move up north again. I want to live there because it's cold. When I went to Philly, right, I'm like hanging out with people who live there, and it's like December, and I'm rolling in like a light hoodie and shorts because I'm like, this is me, bro. Like I love the cold. I thrive in cold weather.
Yeah.
Summer, I shut down. I'm angry. I'm hateful. I don't want to do anything. It's 80 degrees at 8:30 in the morning. I want to die. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like bugs. And that's the thing too. You got bugs and all this other bullshit that happens in the summertime that doesn't happen in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, well, no, fuck that, dude. I hate the humidity.
If
Like
you're
it's the bane of my existence.
if you're a homeowner, and as I found out, like water is the bane of your existence.
Yeah.
Anytime water is involved, it shit just sucks. And like in the winter, everything freezes and it's not water. And then in the summer, it's just like you've got humidity, you've got seepage, you've got tons of rain. It's oh my God, it's just the worst. I can't stand summer.
Like I got a dehumidifier. Like that's how
I
bad
have
it is.
yeah, I have so like I'm in this great kind of Goldilocks zone right now where it's like I don't need the heat on down here and it's really kind of nice and cool and it's like a perfect temperature. But I'm about 3 weeks away from pulling out this because I'm in a basement. I'm 3 weeks away from pulling this big fucking dehumidifier for the entire basement that sounds like a jet engine. And
Yeah.
then after running for 2 hours straight starts blowing hot air.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like I'm going to be basically in the summer
In a
in a
stew.
basement with a machine that is spewing hot fan air at me. It's
Hell
like
yeah.
who
Then you'll
doesn't
get
love the summer?
and
But
then you'll get
swimsuits in
sick.
the beach.
Yeah, dude. And there's nothing more overrated in the world than a beach.
Oh my
But
God, tell me about it. Hey, while we're on the subject, listen, just we keep a list. Fuck Arkansas. Also, fuck
Okay.
sand.
Yeah,
Fuck sand.
I think beaches would be infinitely better if you could figure out a way that the sand wasn't sand. Like, right? If you could
Just
figure
fucking
out a way,
astroturf. Just like
yeah,
fucking
like if you could just
astroturf
turn,
on
but
the-
Yeah.
like still make it look like sand and feel and like act like sand. But if it just didn't stick to your body, I think it'd be fine. I think if it was like some sort of weird orby material that didn't stick to you,
yeah, I'm sure that's good for all the animals. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, they're
just
fine
walking
with
up on the beach, like, can we get some tile down here? Maybe some
yeah,
linoleum. This would
like
be nice.
just something. There's LVP flooring we could put down
yeah,
here.
but
It
then
would
just
look
think of all
great,
the
you know.
grossness that's gonna happen to that because like then you got to clean it.
Yeah, yeah, and then you get the ocean
as
water
as
and
proposed
like,
to the sand that
It's natural. It naturally
Yeah.
stuff in and out. I don't know.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, if
like
you think about it, it's like a big litter box. Really, it's
Right,
a
100%.
yeah, but it's like
I
also
enjoy the
yeah.
beach. I'm very particular about the beaches I go to. I'm very snooty. I'm just like I don't really like American beaches. Um, especially
Hey, I grew up
especially
on
the
Myrtle
Atlantic
Beach,
This
Ocean.
baby.
motherfucker's going to Ibiza and later. He's like, listen,
Aruba, bro.
top-notch beaches only.
Yeah,
I grew up
give
on
me the
Myrtle
Caribbean
Beach,
over
and
the
it was just
Atlantic any
fine.
day.
I love
I don't know. It
Myrtle.
really kind of pales in comparison to the Dead Sea. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
the Dead Sea. Can't you float on the Dead Sea or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I want to do that. I want to float on the Dead Sea.
You're gonna
dude.
learn that Jacob is like terrible at like geography and
Oh,
everything.
I think that I think the American maps. I think that
American.
maps. I think maps in general really are deceiving. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
He
Deceiving.
doesn't know words good either.
Deceiving when they portray like America and then Alaska, because I was always under the assumption like, oh, it's just like right above Washington, like it's just kind of hanging on the edge there. No, it's like all the way fucking up in Canada, dude. It's ways away from what I understand.
Yeah.
So, and then you could touch Russia from it. That's crazy to
You
me.
can't touch Russia.
You can basically
can
spit
see
on. You can
Russia.
spit on Russia from
You
Alaska.
cannot spit 46 miles, bro.
That's 46 miles. I could run that, dude. Give me 2 days. I got that.
It's water.
Okay, well, give me Jesus's powers apparently, and then I will fucking run on water, dude.
No,
I'll
you
do
can
it.
float on it. It's like the Dead Sea up there.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, then we're good. Yeah, I can run. If
But what's crazy
Ooh,
is
could
like
you
you
run
you
across the Dead
leave. It's
Sea?
like 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and like you go to Russia, and it's like 1 o'clock a.m.
And you're-
Friday morning or some
and
shit.
you're-
Like you literally cross a threshold.
and you're in prison too. Like you know what I'm saying, like fucking
There's that
crazy.
too.
Anyways, so I wanted to ask you what got you into I think you already talked about what got you into comics, but the Tomb series. I was looking through I was going doing the old Google search, and I just
Thanks.
wanted to tell you that the Tomb series looks fucking rad. I really liked the cover of the Black Tomb. I hope it's yours and not
It
some
is,
other
yeah.
Ian
Yeah,
Mondrick's.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of fell back in love with comics around 2006, 2007. I worked at a place. There were a couple people who were big, like big, current day comic book heads, and they were telling me all about Civil War, and I was like kind of, regaling them with stories about like, the original Infinity Gauntlet series, and like started, showing up at the LCS and got a pull list, and then just kind of fell back in love with comics, and then started working like reviewing comics, doing, critiques and reviews and stuff like that. And I think this is like kind of a popular channel for a lot of people. And then started writing short comics, got accepted into an anthology, and just kind of started going at it from there. Don't really have like career plans, right? As a comic book writer, it's and I don't want this to set like, but it's just kind of like I just do shit,
Hell
right?
yeah.
Like I
Hell
don't
Speaking
have
the
yeah.
like this
language.
master plan of like
I
I'm
just
going to create this brand that I'm going to like I just like I'm looking for a good story, right? And it's sort of like something will happen. Tomb of the White Horse started as a ghost story. I had a bunch of friends who worked in warehouses, like distribution warehouses, right? And I had this idea about like a mysterious package that gets delivered and there's something inside it. And like I would just work on it while I was at work or tell it to friends. And it just developed over the course of a couple of years. And I couldn't shake the idea. I ended up working with Benjamin Philby, who's my co-creator with the Tomb series. And like it went really well. And we kind of expanded it out. There's going to be 4 issues in total. Every one of those stories, Tomb of the White Horse, Tomb of the Red Horse, Tomb of the Black Horse, and Tomb of the Pale Horse, they're all iterations of like the 4 horsemen of the
I was gonna
apocalypse,
ask, but
Absolutely.
'cause I
right?
had a feeling because I was reading like kind of the synopsis and it was talking about like the apocalyptic setting and whatnot, and then you got the 3 different covers. I was going to ask you if there's going to be a 4th one that has like
Yep.
references kind of like the fourth horseman there. So
Yeah, I actually just got a message from Ben. Actually, he just posted about it on social as well. This incredibly badass picture that he took. All of the pages, all 36 pages of Pale Horse are finished. So they're going off to color soon. So we'll hear more about that soon. But I think the goal with that was to kind of like do our own interpretation of what the horsemen kind of represented.
mhm.
And like the White Horse's conquest, and I think a lot of people see conquest as like synonymous with war or whatever. But what we were talking about was like we've got 3 guys in a warehouse, and they're all kind of arguing different perspectives of like what this thing might be, right? And there's one guy who thinks it's like some sort of bad omen, like in like a religious sense, someone who is kind of more secular, atheistic, and then like someone in the middle. And just like the theme of that book is kind of like look what happens like when people can't agree, they can't get along, like tragedy
Mhm.
happens. And then the Red Horse of War, instead of doing like direct all out conflict, we kind of made it like an interpersonal struggle, like the war inside of people, like breaking away from like nurture versus nature and things like that, right? Like
Mhm.
the learning that the people you grow up with might not be the best influences for you, and like having like the to pull away from that. And then Black Horse was the best because Black Horse is famine. And instead of doing like pestilence or disease or something, we just did wealth inequality. That was our Eat the Rich book, right? And that
Hell
their
yeah.
hoarding of wealth and resources is kind of what's causing famine, and like that was just a great sell. And then of course Pale Horse's death, and I like this is a slight spoiler, but it's not going to end well for us in
Why
the end
not
of the
though?
books.
Why? I feel like death is like kind of always ended well for us, right? Because it's like an escape. This way I see it, at least. So
Well, I don't want to get too far into it because we're about probably about a year out, but
I always
there's a
just
lot of
stumble
there's
on
a
like
lot of
fucking.
that, but there's a lot of that where it's like death is part of the story, right? And
Mm,
like after death comes rebirth, comes something else or something different, and those are the kind of themes that we want to talk about a whole bunch. Like maybe it isn't sad and horrifying, maybe it's bittersweet, or maybe it is horrifying.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to spoil this shit yet.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, I'm really proud of Pale Horse and all the stuff that we've done before, and a bunch of really cool shorts with a bunch of really great people. Like I've been very lucky that like the collaborators and co-creators I've worked with have all become like really great friends. And I don't think I would be doing this if it wasn't for that, right? Like I have some friends that like put out books and work with artists in a more work for hire kind of scenario, and like I don't think I would survive doing that, right? Like I need to go through it with somebody because I think that makes the book better, and rather than me being like go do this art the way I want you to do it, is like come to me and like let's talk about it, and let's make the book as much of you as much as it is about me. And I feel like that's a good segue into Stashbox because Frederick really gave me the kind of sight and vision of like what he saw in the book was something that I hadn't necessarily fleshed out. And it was and that was kind of the whole retro Tales from the Crypt,
Yep.
like kind of 80s
Yeah.
vibe of it. And he came to it with that. And to be honest, that was one of the reasons I went to him in the first place.
So it's like that's his wheelhouse. From what we know about Fred, it's like his wheelhouse is very much so like the retro style,
Hmm.
the that horror aesthetic from like the '80s era, where it's you've got the different great. The grain style is that what
flea
they
market style.
flea market style, and it's
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
he's fucking phenomenal when it
It's
comes
so
to
funny
every like.
because that is also what happened with me with Polar Destroyer. It was like I was looking for my variant cover, and so far I've had two horror artists, people who's like specialize in horror, and like when I approach them, I'm like, "This is rad. You want to do this?" And they're like, "Hell yeah! This is not my wheelhouse, but I want to try something new." And everyone loved his variant cover for my second issue. And then I was just like, and then getting to know Fred, put him over a little bit. And like, it has been tumultuous to say the least on my end as far as getting a book made. And I have so, just so many problems and issues that just like are unbelievable that you just cannot under any circumstance plan for.
Yeah.
And so in working with him and learning like, dude, this is like how it's supposed to be. And like he's very, very well put together and very professional and has a schedule. But like he also just like I went to him with mine and I was like, here you go, dude. Like he read the first issue and I was like, and I don't like, I'll give you ideas. I'll give you like specific points of like, Jack's left arm has to be the cyborg arm, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, kind of just do what you want. And like, I don't want to handcuff an artist because I'm coming to you to begin with.
Yes.
And it's like, this is your vision. And like, sometimes they don't always match up, but like at the end of the day, it's like, that's your take on it. Now there's times where you have to be like, well, hey, change this or change that. But like, by and large, like I'm pretty hands off when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it works best from a collaborative standpoint when you sort of like let you let loose of the leash a little bit, because I mean, some people work better that way. Some people work better when like you have a very strict, like, okay, here's the description of all these panels, do this, and this. So
Yeah, I think that one of the things, again, one of the things I love so much about comics is that there's so much like room for interpretation there, right? Like
absolutely.
there's no format for scripts, there's no deciding limit on how much or how little, how detail you should put into a panel description or whatever.
Especially
But
if
the
it's yours.
Right. But the way I've always looked at it is like I will communicate everything I need to communicate in the script and in like a character description, right?
Hmm.
And I go over it and I edit it because that is what I want. And if there's anything else that I want that's not in there, then it's my fault for not telling you, the artist,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, this is all that I need to be in there. Anything else you want to do it, right? Because like again, like I don't want to handcuff you, and I'm only putting like the important details in there. And I think that's where it comes off great. And like with whether it's Benjamin or Frederick or any of the artists I've worked with, I think probably 99% of the time they've been like, I think we should add a panel here, or I think I'm going to change the framing of this panel or the blocking or whatever. And you just go, yeah, perfect. Like, I trust you. You know visually how this stuff works better than me, right? Like, I see how the panels look in my head and possibly on a page, but like you're the one who's going to be actually like making it work visually. So like, yeah, if we need to add something or subtract something or change something, like let's do it, right?
Yeah.
And that goes back to Frederick's like, incredible communication skills. Like I get thumbnails for every page, and it's easy to look through the thumbnails and go like, can you just make sure that you show this in this panel or whatever? And yeah, and just going back to what we were saying, like he's just incredibly professional. It's ridiculous like how on
Yeah.
point he is, and it's crazy that he's not here today. I mean, he had a legit emergency, but the dude is pretty automatic, and we became like pretty fast friends,
Yeah,
and
dude.
that's
I talk to him several times a week.
yeah, yeah, he's a good dude, man. And I mean, I've been writing comics for like 10 years now, and I think my first Kickstarter was like 2017 or 2018 or something. And yeah, you find out who your friends are, right? Like people come and go from the industry or whatever, but like the people that you care about and the people that care about you, it's easy to kind of figure out who they are. And it's really easy to like make great friendships. And like the community, no community is perfect, and every
Right.
community is going to have bad actors or selfish people, but yeah, I don't know. It's been great getting to meet. It's been great having friends like this, right? And have those
Hmm.
friendships because, exist because of comics. So,
Yeah, you and I are from the same ilk, if you will, in terms of like how we have approached comics. Because like with mine, you know, like, it took 10 years for me to get from concept to like full on issue. And it was one of those where I didn't have any like real like delusions of grandeur, like, oh, I'm gonna do this and like whatever. I was just like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. And you know, through all that, and I sort of just jumped in the deep end with issue one and had with a bunch of issues there, a bunch of problems, and just sort of like you learn a lot of things. But you're absolutely right. But I think there is, and it's like I don't want to use the word naive because that's disingenuous. But I have learned through 2 issues and just for the last 5 years how, and even in that time span, how much crowdfunding has changed. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like because I legitimately use it for its intended purpose. I do what I can on my end. I present to you a thing. I take the money, all the money that I get that I use to finish the product. I deliver the product, rinse, repeat. That is not how it is done most of the time. Like everyone has a grift, or they're looking for like you know, I've seen people do shit that where they're selling digital issues for $25, and I'm like, this is insane. I've missed the memo somewhere where like, you know, I'm not part of like this group or whatever, and it's hard to navigate because I really wanted to talk to you about this specific thing. It's like, what is the hardest part, and something that is not often talked about that the general layman doesn't understand about being a writer and trying to launch a crowdfunding campaign, and like the trials and tribulations that one has to go through to get a thing funded, because it's not as easy as like, oh, your product is awesome, it's going to fund. That's not how it works,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah. I think that what I've learned, right? And this is, you know, and to your comment about how much it's changed. I ran a Kickstarter, a non-comic Kickstarter earlier this year. And before that, my last comic Kickstarter was 2022. And this was back when Twitter was still like a widely, you know, viable
Valuable.
platform or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And we did
Yeah.
really well. I think I forget what our goal was, but we ended up getting like I think 14 grand and like 400
Damn.
backers, right? Which was just like we know what we're doing, right? Like this was a fucking hit. Like we felt great. And I walked into the campaign for my father's art book earlier this year, like, all right, well, it's not a comic project. It's going to be more friends and family because it's a more personal thing, but it went over pretty well. And I was like, you know, things have changed a little bit, but I think I have a good handle on it. And then going back into a comic book Kickstarter in the year of our Lord 2025 is I'm getting my ass kicked. Like there is so much stuff I'm behind on. There's so many things where I was like, I got this, don't worry about it. And they are not effective. Right. And like just wild. And avenues I poured time and effort into that yielded no results. Just crazy. And Fred and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, you know, where we're at right now, I think we're in a I'm confident. I'm still upbeat about it. You know, I wish we were a little farther along heading into like the last week. But you know, if this doesn't fund, man, like I have 2 or 3 good solid months of work to do to get ready for the relaunch or the next book or whatever. That's going to make it easier. But I think that's the thing is like to your point, the landscape is always changing, and
Hmm.
that what worked in the first quarter of 2025 will probably not work in the second quarter of 2026, right?
Hmm.
And I've seen people like everyone launches on like there was this conventional wisdom like everybody launches on a Tuesday, and it's like I don't know why that is. I don't know why people think that is, but like I don't know why, but like this Tuesday, I got like updates to like 7 comic book projects launched. And I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but like I'd rather launch on a Wednesday then when
Bro.
no one else is launching. But it's like, oh, but Tuesday's the day. But
Yeah,
why is
it's like
Tuesday
yeah,
the
and
Okay.
day?
it's like this unspoken rule where, like, because I mean, I think video games do it as well. Like
Yeah.
movies that are
It
released
used
will
to
do
be
it.
Tuesdays, now it's
Yeah,
Fridays
where it's
universally.
like in TV shows, like, and it's I don't understand the unspoken rules, and I'm pretty sure that it all has to do with like some kind of algorithm and statistics that higher ups have or have had in the past, and like or some Argonian rule or draconian rule that we had from back in the olden days where they're like, yeah, Tuesdays, dude, this
Yeah.
everybody fucking does this on Tuesdays. Like you drop a comic on Tuesdays. And it's like, okay, but then if everybody's doing it on Tuesday, how are you supposed to get any kind of
Right.
exposure? Because Well, everybody's looking at everything else, and like we're already oversaturated with the amount of shit that's coming at us on a daily basis. And here we are now. We've got 20 different projects on. Anyways, you guys know that too. You know,
So Ian, I have this reputation. It's false, but I have this reputation of being a contrarian, and I will like adamantly not do something because, and there is a grain of truth in that. But I am built in a way to like if everyone is doing it, I'm gonna go C, just because I am like you where it's like, well, if everyone's doing it on a Tuesday, why in the world would I do that? I'm going to do it like I don't want to be in that pile of people and have to compete with those people. I would rather, I do things on my own terms. It's like we were talking about comics, and one of the things that I love specifically about indie comics is like I have never read like write the Marvel way, write the DC way, or like because I don't. That's not me.
Yeah.
I know how a comic book works. And when I put my stuff together, I wrote my first script having never read of how to write a comic book. And it turned out really well. And it's just like, not to say that my way is right. It's just like, you have to put as much as yourself and your own personality into the thing and doing it your way. So it's like, would I love for someone like Daniel Warren Johnson or Scott Snyder to like read it and critique it? Yes. But like, I don't want to write like them. I
Yeah.
don't want to necessarily make my book like them, inspired by, or like, this, that, and the other, that's fine. But it's that same thing where like, I don't want to do my campaign. And like, I know there's the way business works. It's like, you give this, you go on a podcast and it's like, okay, you do this, that, and the other. I am of the belief that like, I'm not a big fan of giving away the full book to anybody. There are times when it is warranted, like when when you're rubbing shoulders with like at a con with like industry people, that's fine. But like for me, I got not taken advantage of, but it's like to me, it's like anybody that funds it, like it's like to me, that's sort of like a disservice to giving away something when people paid their money for it. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
have a sample that I will provide people. It's first 10 pages of the book, but it's like then you learn along the way too. It's like you do all these things and like there's so much give and not a lot of take, and it's just it's not excuses. Like again, like I don't want anybody to think that like, oh well, it's like but it's like, oh well, you have to do it this way. Why do I have to do it this way? If everyone is doing it this way, then in my brain, whether it's right or wrong, if you do it this way, if you go off the beaten path, to me that's more unique.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but thing is like you have to fight algorithms, and you have to do, it's like, well, everybody's doing it this way, so this is everyone's looking this way, no one's looking over here, so how do you get people to look across the aisle? And it's
So so I
hard.
think I think it's, yeah, it's walking that line of like being original, but also understanding that there is a structure, right? Like we want to print comic books and we want to do things differently and we want to be unique and we want to be attention grabbing, but like I don't know, we can't print the comic book on plastic, right? We got to print
Right.
it on paper. So like
Sure.
Mm.
you're bound to certain rules, right? It's like you're going to have to post about it on social media. How
Absolutely.
you go about posting it on social media and what you do, that's up for interpretation, but you're going to have to market it in some way. And I think that, one of the things that, that you were saying, like the big thing for me is the whys, right? And I think if you can understand the why of the reason you're doing things, I think it helps to clarify it, right?
Sure.
Like it kind of gives you a vision of purpose. And like, so I mentioned earlier in the year, I did a book. My father passed away in 2020, and he was like someone who doodled or like did art, like pencil and ink drawings, like all of his life, and never like really did anything with them. Would draw and then just put them in a book somewhere. Long story short, my mom wanted everything scanned digitally. I was like, let's make a book about it. We threw it up on Kickstarter, got it funded, and all of this stuff. It was a really great experience. Everyone seemed to respond really well to the book. But one of the questions I got so much was, why didn't your dad ever do anything with his art? Why didn't he ever? And it took me being asked that a couple of times before I realized, like, oh, my father didn't grow up in an era where every talent you have has to be monetized.
Hell yeah, that's
Yep.
yeah,
Right. And it's just like, I want you to imagine a guy who was just drawing things and not posting them on social media
yeah,
and not framing them and selling them on Etsy, right? He was just drawing them and going, "Hey, what do you think? That's neat." And then just putting it away. And it's like he knew what he was doing, right? Like he wasn't drawing like to gain fame or to gain a name for himself or to gather more followers or to sell a book at some point. I did that for him. But he did it because he liked drawing. and it satisfied some sort of creative need inside of him. And I think that that's great, right? And I think that it sucks that I'm sure that still happens, right? We just don't hear about it because they're not posting about it on social
Yeah,
media
sure.
or whatever, right? But I think that is like he knew what he was doing. He was okay, and people would go like, "Oh, you should you should try to get a job as a commercial artist. You should try to take these to a gallery." And he's like, "I don't want to do any of that. I'm not
Mhm.
interested in any of that." Right?
This is a
Uh,
hobby for a reason.
exactly. Right. And it's a creative expression that is also a hobby. To that, Alex, I've heard people refer to it as the passion economy, which I think is a
Okay.
very smart way of putting it, right? Like it's a hobby, but we're also spending a lot of money on our hobbies and we're very passionate about them. So it's kind of this unique thing. But like the why for me is like it's like I get a ton of benefit out of like collaborating with friends, right?
It's addictive as hell.
I'd rather be sitting here talking about a thing I want to make and trying to make it real than just playing video games with them. Although I do a bunch of that as well, right?
Right.
And it's like, and then it's about me trying to perfect the story. It's like, what can I tell people that will be surprising and different and engaging and entertaining and evocative, but also I can like slip my theme in there. Like I can also slip that little kind of truth that I want to talk about or the thing and like how effective can I be at that? And then after the script's out of my hands, how effective can I be at like making sure everyone who looks at it or sees it understands what I'm going for, right? And like that is it's like constantly trying to sharpen that point, I think is like what I get out of it, right? And as a result, like I don't know, man, like I don't pitch to publishers. I don't really go out for anthologies very much. And that's not to say that those things aren't good or worthy, but that's not what I'm looking for, right?
Right.
And once you know what you're looking for, it makes doing everything else so much easier.
Yeah. Dude, couldn't say I could
Fucking
not
that was
I
beautifully
couldn't
said, by the way.
agree
Yeah.
more.
Thank you.
um ultimately like you and I and to a further extent more people, writers specifically, I think artists have the benefit of being able to like just throw something together, like, you know what I mean? Like I was talking to Fred about this the other day where like, I don't, the older I get, the less inclined I am to be on social media, right? And
Yeah.
without Twitter, my first issue probably doesn't get funded. So, but then coming around to issue two, it's like, well, it was like a couple months later, it had already changed. The landscape had already changed so much, and became algorithm based. And it's
And
like,
fucking look at Twitter, how much it changed just in the time for the first comment of the second one. Like
That's what I
it's
said.
I didn't know if you meant like Kickstarter had changed. My bad. I was
well,
I
mean,
was a
there's
dragon.
that
That's my
whole
bad.
situation too. But it's just like ultimately, my book is made for me. Not to say that it's only for me, but I made it because it didn't exist. It's something that was in my brain, and it's something that I wanted to see come to fruition. And then it just sort of extrapolates from there. Now, as great as indie comics are, and like we have this avenue where you're talking about your dad. It's like, you know, I got a lot of the same sort of things where there was people older than me who sort of had a bit of confusion. They didn't understand doing something for passion. They didn't understand doing something just because. Like I was surrounded by a ton of people older than me who were like, "Oh yeah, like you need to print this many, blah 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 blah." And it's just like, "How are you gonna make money on this?" And it's like, "That's not what I'm doing. That's not
Yeah.
what I'm doing." Now, I have to have money. I have to make money. And the idea is like you present this product, it does things because mine is an Ouroboros is how I'm doing it. I do a thing, I put what I need to put in, it makes money, fund it, boom, boom, boom. Like let's go. Like the whole point for me is to not have a self-sustaining thing, but like just like I want to be able to keep creating because I am a writer and a creator. I'm not an artist, so I have to pay someone to make the thing for me. And unfortunately, that is the burden of it all. I don't. I am at the behest of someone else to do this shit. But you hope that through all of that, you make enough friends and you rub enough shoulders and you do a lot of other things that like sort of like this sort of like carries itself. And then with me, I had a thing where mine was approved. My issue 2 was approved on Kickstarter, and the day I was set to launch, it was pulled.
Why? Did they give a reason?
That's the thing
I
about
can only,
Kickstarter. They can just not
they don't
give you a
have to give you a
reason.
reason. Now,
Oh
for
boy.
full transparency here, issue 1 was funded without any issues from Kickstarter. Their again, I can only surmise certain things and based off of the vague wording of stuff, why it was pulled. But I still don't understand because the first one was, anyways. So I ended up having to. We can talk about it more off mic. So I had to basically, at like the snap of a finger, like figure out what I was gonna do, and it took me about 2 months to get everything switched. So I went from Kickstarter to Fund My Comic. Now that there was a positive and a negative to that. The positive being that like the way it is set up is you can set it up to like you get the money no matter what your goal is, which I loved because
Mm.
at this point I had dealt with so much at this point where I was
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I have to, I don't care, like even if I don't hit the goal I'm still getting whatever I do. So that sort of eases the burden of like all or nothing. I don't like the all or nothing because there are too many variables involved. I know that's why you do it. And like there's like statistical data of like, well, you set it for 30 days and you do this and it shows confidence. I get all that. But from my perspective, it was like this has to see the light of day. Like I am a determined motherfucker and like it's going to happen regardless. But it's Fund My Comic. It does not have the name recognition that
Yeah.
Kickstarter people understand Kickstarter. Like they know what that is
Or they have an account with Kickstarter already.
And
already.
the app is yeah, easy to
But
find.
yeah,
Like
and again, Fund
minute
My Comic is exclusive comics.
navigate.
Like
There we
that's
go.
all. That's all they run.
Right, right.
And I there was things that they needed. Like you didn't have a choose your cover option. And like again, it's less than 2 years old now. I was able to pull people over there, and that's a whole that's like a whole process that people don't understand. Is like you're having to pull people. Me specifically, I had to
Mhm.
pull people from one platform to another and try to like not only convince people to back my thing again, but also to like convince people to sign up for yet another thing.
Which is like in like definitely hard to do because I think about just me in particular, and I'm very much so like if I have to do anything extra, it's gonna be a burden, and I'm gonna be way less inclined to like go and do it. So I can't imagine like having to convince friends and family, hey, had to switch from Kickstarter, go set up an account on this new platform, and it's so yeah.
But and we're talking about Twitter, it's like Blue Sky has sort of it's improved itself, but it's still not to the levels of what Twitter was. And out of everything that I've done and everything that I do, you hope that your thing speaks to people, right? Like you hope that
Mhm.
like you present Stashbox and it's like, oh, this is his thing, and you can lead a horse to water, but like you can't make the water drink, or you can't make the horse drink the
You
water.
can't make the water drink, baby.
You
And
can't make
that's
the
the
water
thing.
drink the horse.
Yeah.
But it's like
I guess you could if you were drawing it,
I
So
I got in full transfer. I got so incredibly burnt the fuck out
Yeah.
with the social media aspect of it. I dread it. I dread it more than anything because again, like as the current climate of things, social media, everything else, like I'm trying to sort of pull back and like be on it less because like it's not healthy and like I get more done, all these sort of things. And like, but it's like it's a necessary evil for us. Especially us, it's like we're not lucky like Fred, where we can just like whip out a Warhammer thing and it's awesome and he gets a
Well,
bunch of stuff.
if
I
If
mean,
Fred was here, he would talk about the
Oh, I know.
struggle of getting those Warhammer people over to Backstash Box, right? Like that would be one of the things that he would talk to you about. But this is what I submit, right? And this is I'm saying this now because I'm in a good mood and I'm feeling hopeful for the future. If we had conducted this interview yesterday about the same time, I would not have this
I
answer because
understand,
I was in a deep dark pit yesterday at this
dude.
time.
hey,
Um,
Jacob hears it from me all the time.
right,
I do.
but this is my thing. Is like this talking about it, right? It makes me realize it's so representative of every other creative endeavor I've ever had, right? Like when I was a kid, I was like 14 and 15, I had a radio show on one of the college radio stations, right? And like I would make flyers for that radio show and I was like this is pre-digital, so like I was cutting stuff out of magazines and like poison penning stuff, and I was really into the punk scene. This is like it was like a third wave punk, like Green Day and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when they first hit the scene. And I would make zines. I would do little punk rock zines, and I would like cut everything out and paste it in 8.5 by 11. And it was like literally just making shit by hand and like figuring out on the fly. And then I did the same thing when I moved into like being a club DJ. And it's like I worked an overnight job at a convenience store, and I would bring 2 tape decks in with me and like dub my tapes. You know what I mean? So I had like demo copies to give out to everybody. And now being a comic, it's like I'm running around, you know, cobbling together skills for like Canva or video editors or audio editors. And I'm like, and the whole thing is like, yes, the promotion aspect and the marketing aspect and the selling stuff, but it's like what you're really doing when you're doing all of this stuff is being creative.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things, like, one of the things I realized this time around is like the posts on social media that go, hey, my book is cool, buy my book. It's like that. It's so easy to put that up and you think, I'm marketing, I'm talking about my book. That's no one, you go face blind to that shit 3 days
Yeah.
after being on Blue Sky. Right. And it's like, okay, well, you're a writer. So get creative. What
Right.
can you talk about in your posts that are going to make people go, let me read this. Let me give this 2 minutes of my time. Let me tell a story to this person and convince them that this book is like a good representation of the thing they just read or whatever. And that I think is great, right? Because like it's not necessarily about being on social media and posting on social media, right? It's like about growing your audience. And the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing that I've learned this time around is you have to grow your audience in the off season,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't market for new readers when you're asking them for $20, right? It's like you can come up to people
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
man,
like,
that's a good.
give me $20 right now for a book you'll probably get in 3 months, right? Or, hey, follow my page
Check
because
this
I'm
shit
posting
out.
cool shit. What's
Yeah.
easier? And if you follow my page and you get regular content from me, well, we have a power social relationship then, right? Like you like my shit, you like my takes, you've been following me. Now, after 6 or 8 months of that, it's like, I've also got a book coming out. And it's like, I know this guy. I like this guy. Like, I'm going to
Sure.
check this book out. So it's like the answer is to be on social media more when you're not running the book,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that seems antithetical to me. Like that does not seem like it, but it makes perfect sense. And like it's definitely it's another creative strategy to employ to get to where you want to be with your thing, right? And it's like, and again, this is like a good day. So I'm like, yeah, this is fun and creative trying to solve problems. But
It
like if you ask me
works.
tomorrow,
Hey,
it'll be like, it's the fucking it's the worst. I hate it. Nobody
Yeah.
fucking cares. You're all
that's
alone.
like me with
Everyone
Hunt.
hates art. Nobody reads anymore. Like, so
That's exactly how I am with Hunt, where it's like one day I'm like on top of the world, the game rules, but as soon as I go in that downward slump, the game fucking blows, and it sucks.
what am I even doing?
Yeah. Okay, I got a question real quick before we jump back into Stashbox, and I want to out you real quick. Paying for the blue check mark, worth it? Should you do it? What are you thinking? Like, you don't have to dox yourself, but like, did you?
No,
I
no, no,
haven't
no.
checked
So
your.
I never paid for the check mark, and I deleted my Twitter account a little while ago. I think I have like an alt account somewhere, right? But here's the thing, it wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't getting any traction on any of my tweets. They weren't getting any views. Here's what I think. I think that real talk. I think you know we I don't think there's any ethical consumption under capitalism, right? I think everything that you pretty much do, someone is getting fucked somewhere, right? And it's like, if you want to
And
talk
someone's
about,
getting paid.
right, yeah, and I think
And it's not me.
if you want to talk about, I don't know, it seemed everyone has their own line, and I respect their own lines, right? And I never paid for a check mark, but if I was an indie creator and the difference between my book getting funded and not getting funded was giving the world's richest man 15 measly dollars for a month so that my art can live and breathe, like I don't know, man, like I guess more power to you. I'm not gonna judge you for that, right? I understand why some people would, but it's like, and I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy going like, I can't believe you gave typing, I can't believe you gave the world's richest man $15 on your iPhone. I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy there, right? And
Yeah.
it's just like that might be over your line, and I respect your line, right? But like, I don't know, man. I think if you're paying for a check mark and you're using it to like, I don't know, like just give inflammatory hot takes to try to get paid from the Twitter algorithm, I think that's pretty shitty. But I think if you're an independent artist and you're like, I've given like pre Elon Musk, like I gave $50 to Twitter to run Twitter ads, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, Jack Dorsey may not be the worst billionaire in the world, but he's
Right.
definitely a
I
billionaire.
mean, that's. I've talked about it so many
There are
times
no
where
good
it's like
billionaires.
there are no good billionaires.
Right.
Anybody, and it's like, because there's, man, it's
It
just
goes against the construct of like existence.
It's an
man.
oxymoron, right? Is that the word I'm thinking of? And what is the
You
word?
cannot become a billionaire by being a good person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You need
What's
to
the
be
word I'm thinking
exploiting
of?
somebody, right? At some point in time. And I think that's just it. And it's like, look, like you could show me a million examples of people using the check mark and I would go, that's shitty and terrible, right? But
Mhm.
like at the same time, if there's a guy out there and it's like the difference between me getting 50 or 75 or 100 backers is more exposure on threads because I've got this blue check mark, like, I don't know, then go for it, right? Like, you
It's
know,
interesting. That's interesting because I know people. Again, I'm not into publicly disparaging people and that sort of thing because I know the work that it requires to get something funded. So there are people that I know who will just throw out just like nonsense. And it's just like it would be like me. Like again, I understand it all. And it's just like me throwing out a post on Blue Sky that's like you should go see Sinners. Okay, but like what does that contribute to the grand scheme of anything? It's
yeah.
just like okay, like I get it, but it's just like what does that do? Like what cuz everything is like a bit of a currency, right? Okay, it's like I'm paying for that in sense of like I have to it's nothing. It's just it's like you're throwing at a wide net. Okay, great. But like that works for some people. But is it because they built up that audience or is it because like what they're saying matters? And it's just like me telling you to go see Sinners doesn't matter because who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
But I do understand. But like with me, I I am a very humble person and I have a hard time. I could never be a car salesman. I am very
Oh,
much
yeah.
that like it's a fine line between like being confident and being egotistical, right? And arrogance. And like I think what I'm doing is great. The people who have supported it also think it's great. So it's like I don't want to be that guy that's just like my shit's awesome, bro. It's better than ever. Like I'm not interested in like putting shit down in order to whatever, but it's like there are people that do that and there are people that get away with it. But like I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I don't fuck with those people.
Yeah,
I
I'm just
But
it's
this goes back to what I was talking about before, and it's intellectualizing your shit, right?
yeah.
And it's not going, my shit is great, right? What it is going, uh, here's what this shit means to me, and here's why it means this, and here's why I think it will mean this to you. And I think there is a less, let's say, like, braggadocious way of marketing your
Right.
book, right? And I think it's about connecting those things. I made a big list of, like, and I, again, like, failed marketing tactic, I didn't really use it that much, but like I made a big list of like everything that I kind of thought about or that kind of went into Stashbox when I was writing it. And it was like, Barbarian was a big influence. Midsummer was a bit of an influence. The Tommyknockers was a bit of an influence. Like, there's all this different stuff out there. And it was like, I'll take an opportunity to write a couple of post long thread on Blue Sky about, like, here's why I like the Tommyknockers. Here's why it meant something to me. Here's when I reread it last and what I took from it. And here's what found its way into Stashbox. And this is why I think, this is one of the reasons that Stashbox was important for me to make for this reason. And that's why I think you should get it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a better way of saying, like, buy my book. I don't know. You guys probably aren't old enough. There was this animated show on Fox called The Critic. You guys know The Critic?
I am aware
But
of it.
there's this GIF where it's like a sign and it's just him going, buy my book over
Yeah.
and over again. It's very annoying. And it's like, that's what I think a lot of Kickstarter marketing is a lot of the time. It's just people going, buy my book over and over and
When it was
over
on
again.
Blue Sky, that's a lot of what it was. Like it was like you would have. I followed the different kind of comic Kickstarter pages or whatever, where they have people posting on Kickstarter, like posting on Blue Sky about their Kickstarters and whatnot. I know a lot of it was just that, where it's like, there's this cool thing I'm working on, buy it, and it's like, yeah, I get to what you're saying to an extent. It just you shouting, hey, buy this is it might work for some people, but for a lot of the times, it's like more often than not, it's not. It's just like people are gonna look at it and be like, nah, actually, I don't want to. I'm
We'll
good.
get into the campaign of Stashbox here in just a minute, but like one of the things I have noticed lately with crowdfunding is people will put a lower goal
Yeah.
in order to hit it, but also like there is a perception, and that's what I think a lot
Hmm.
of people don't understand. Like, I had friends who did not back my book that I was like thought for sure they would, but they're like, I'll buy your book, I'll give you the money personally because I don't. It's like I don't want to. It's like I get it, but what you don't understand is that doesn't help me because
Yeah.
96 backers at $4,200 looks better than $2,500 with 30 backers because for some reason, like the closer it is to hitting the goal, the more likely people are. It's like a thing. It's like, oh, you're putting your money. It's like, well, the thing is going to happen. It's going to exist. So like, I'm going to wait There's so many people that wait till the very last minute, and it's like, I get it, I understand it. You again, but it's like the perception is everything for those crowd funds because there's something about that little green bar and
Yeah.
almost funded that make that like will put many people over the edge as opposed to because if you wait to the last minute and Jacob waits to the last minute and Fred waits to the last minute, then everyone waits to the last minute and the fucking thing doesn't happen.
It's such a
Whereas
weird disconnect where it's like if that bar is like so close to being funded, people are like, well, I'm just gonna wait until it's funded and then I'll feel more confident in investing in the product. And it's like, or they see it fully funded and they're like, I'm gonna back that because it's coming.
I have noticed that like the closer you get to the edge, the more confident you get because it's like if it's 98, if it's 97, you hope that like enough people like you as a person too. Me speaking personally, that they'll throw in a couple extra bones to help put it over the edge, and then it's just like then it starts to like pile up after it gets funded. But man, like that's like from like 50% to 100% is like the fucking lonely road, and it's just like yelling and screaming into the void of perceived nothingness, and you're just like, ah, you know.
So, so this is apples and oranges because of how long ago it was, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out this time. But with Tomb of the Black Horse, we were doing so well going into the final, like we were like 13 grand or something, right? It was just like, oh my God, we're doing so well. And I'm like, imagine what the last 72 hours, imagine what the last 48 hours is going to be like, right? Like we're going to fucking pile it up. And it didn't really happen, right? I think like we were like, I think like we've
You
hit
reach the
our reach.
saturation point.
Yeah, right. We
where
either
you're
reached
like,
the
yeah.
saturation point or like no one was just like, oh, like they're fine. They don't need my help or something. But it wasn't really the avalanche we thought it was going to be. Now, here's the interesting thing about stash boxes. We're going into like 6 days left. Like the campaign ends next Friday at midnight, or this coming Friday at midnight. And we're sitting at like under 65%, right? We hit 40 in the first 7 days. You know, we cleared 40 in the first 7 days pretty easily. And then it's been slow going since then. But what I noticed was we had just under 100 people sign up for the pre-launch, right? And you get the stats on your Kickstarter on your dashboard. Now we're sitting at like 150 signups on the page, which means we gained about 50 people clicking like, save this product, like remind me about this. We've had about 50 people click, and out of the 150 we now have, only about 50 of them have actually backed the book. So there's 100 people out there who are interested in the book that have not backed it yet. And I'm curious to see that when we hit the final 72 hours and like the alarms start going off, like, hey, like we're not going to make it if you don't get us funded. I want to know if like, I mean, I guess, you'll find out next week if we fund or not. But like if we don't fund, if you're right and that like hesitancy about not being funded doesn't do as well, or because Kickstarter is so participatory, right? Like you're not pre-ordering a book, you're helping to bring the book into existence, right?
Right.
If people are going to see us going like, we're close, but we're not there if you don't help, if all of a sudden we just start really picking up at, the end there in the final couple of hours.
Does it end at 12 o'clock going into Saturday or 12 o'clock going into Friday?
It ends 12 o'clock going into Saturday. So Friday at midnight it ends.
Okay.
We may post this on Thursday so you have a full
Oh, perfect.
day.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
because we normally do Fridays like in the morning, but like
I
we can
was
release it a
just
day
thinking
early.
about that as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
just-
don't want to, yeah, whatever is
No,
easiest for you,
dude,
but,
it's fine. We've
But,
released
yeah,
episodes early or whatever.
When it comes.
As we wind this train down, I guess give us the elevator pitch of Stashbox. Tell us like why people should back it, what incentives, that sort of stuff. Give us.
And tell them to back it. Yeah. Just
Oh
tell them
yeah, hey,
directly.
back my book by the way.
I mean,
It's,
that's
Absolutely.
obviously
Yeah.
that's
If you're listening to
it's,
this episode, you should have already done it. I don't know why you haven't. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
I
should
mean, I
probably get-
did.
I did as well. So
Thanks. So yeah, so the Stashbox is kind of a love letter to the horror movies and horror comics that I read growing up. And one of the things I wanted to bring up earlier and I kind of neglected was that like I remember a time when there were like dangerous comic books, right? Like when I used to go, like when I was like 18 or 19 years old and I would go into a head shop to buy like a pipe to smoke, weed out of or whatever, they would have like a little rack of comics there and there would be like, Vault of Horror and the Furious Freak Brothers and Cherry Pop Tart. And they would have comics that had like drug use and sex and like violence and like, ghastly kind of horror. And like those were always like they were like illicit things. They weren't like, Marvel and DC. They weren't these, clean cut. Even though I grew up in the 80s era of Marvel where like things got a little bit dirtier, but it's that kind of stuff. Like, the title of the book Stash Box denotes like some sort of, illegal substance or something illicit, being kept and hidden. And I like the feeling that art can be dangerous sometimes. And I like the feeling that, it can be a little transgressive. And that's what I think we're trying to package in all of this book, right? Like that's the feeling that we're trying to set. We're printing it oversized, like the old EC comics used to be printed. We're printing it on a high quality newspaper, so it has that feel. But the book itself is about two young lovers, a guy and a girl. They sneak into a house, looking for a good time. They want to smoke a little bit of weed and maybe fool around a little bit, and they find a hidden compartment inside this house. And there's something inside the compartment that belongs to the owner of the home, who isn't home at the time. And they go on this terrifying trip of transformation. Secrets of the universe are revealed to them, and the conspiracy and the what caused this stuff to be in the box is revealed as well. And we kind of have this car crash of our four characters kind of happen at the end there.
Hell yeah,
Hell
dude.
yeah.
I'm excited about it, honestly, because I my thing, I first of all, I love the trailer
Oh,
for
thanks.
like the
That
trailer
was all
video.
Frederick.
It's phenomenal. I love the old school like psychedelic drug kind of like prescription based, like, oh, this, stash box, I love the ending where it's like giving all the side effects and whatnot. It's great. But I also love like that retro feel, just because I mean, then again, I'm very uncultured in the way of like comic books go. Like Alex can attest that like I don't read very much to begin with, let alone like read comics.
He's a manga guy.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like manga's any better or anything. It's just one of those things where like it just
It's all
solely
personal
down to
preference.
yeah, it's solely down to personal preference or whatever. But like I feel like
My comic might have been the first one he read.
No.
I'm thinking
He
about
read
it.
it.
Yeah, I
It's
actually
funny
like
because
read
he
it.
got
Yeah,
it and read it wrong.
I'm not
yeah.
I'm not very fluid in manga. I've read some Rumiko Takashi. I think that's like as much as
See,
I've read.
I've done One Piece. I got all the way through all of 1,100 and something chapters
Jesus.
of One Piece. It was a trek and a half. It was like a year long thing. But yeah, it's like I didn't even with manga. I'm like not super like versed in it as well. So like I'm just uncultured when it comes to that. I got too much other things going on in my brain. But I dig like that kind of vibe of horror-esque, like really grotesque kind of comics. I feel like you don't see a whole lot of nowadays. And then again, maybe it's just because I haven't been to a comic book shop, but I really dig it. I really dig the vibes that it gives off too. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. I had to get the sticker pack because I like stickers, and I need some new stickers to put on my big old watering jug here. So
Nice. I do. I'm like, I have like a bunch of just spaces, like almost like decoupage or whatever. Where like this, the stickers go everywhere. So yeah, I'm a big fan of stickers. I don't like to do too much of that superfluous stuff because like I want people to
Dude,
get the book, but there's just
it's
something
just
about
like
stickers
more
that I
in
like.
it just feels like because having like helped along and like watched Alex go through his process with like Polar Destroyer, the anxiety that I would have over it is trying to come up with the extra like accoutrement to go with your Kickstarters and like stickers is probably like where I would draw the line. Like, hey, I got stickers. I don't
yeah,
have
but
the
like
mental capacity to do anything else.
we
Sorry,
talked,
guys.
we talked about it. That's just like, you still have to print it on paper. It's like stickers are like a thing. People love stickers. People love pins, and it's just like these are things that, trading cards are the new one. And
Oh yeah.
it's just like it's one of the, like people want shit. And I don't mean shit in a negative way. People just want stuff. They just want stuff. And with with a big move to digital too, it's like, well, how do you entice people to get that physical, And I think I have found that a lot of people do. I've had a lot more physical backers than I have digital backers. And I think people, people still love that to have that tangible thing in their hand.
One of the nice things about digital comics is for people who live, outside the U.S. or
Correct.
in
That's where all
more
mine come
remote
from.
areas of the globe. It is a big help for shipping. One of the great things, though, about Stashbox is us living in different countries, that shipping anywhere in the world is $5. So like we don't have that hurdle. It's really nice to not have to put that like $25 price tag to like ship to fucking Canada or whatever. So that's
Especially
a
these days, am I right,
right,
guys?
right, right. And I think, I think people are, when I say people, I mean like the culture at large is starting to really kind of jump back on physical media as a
Yeah.
viable thing. Like I have been filling up my wish list for like because I've been married for like I don't know like 16 years or something. So it's like what do you get? I don't know, like we barely even exchange gifts anymore.
Same.
But like anytime I think of something where I'm like I want a copy of that, like I put it on my wish list so she can grab it for me. Like um the HBO series Westworld is like one of my favorite TV series. Absolutely love Westworld, and it's like I need to have that on Blu-ray because HBO or Max or whatever can just go, no more.
Yeah,
We're
that's
taking
like,
that off.
yeah, man, and that's a lot of, I think,
Yep.
the big push for physical copies is because people are starting to catch on to the fact that like at some point, at any point, even because I'm thinking like I recently here I was like watching a video on how to jailbreak your Kindle because like he was talking about the reasons you should is because at any point in time. Kindle or Amazon can just be like, we don't want this book on here anymore, so we're just gonna take it and like
Yeah,
literally or flat out just doesn't get supported anymore. Like if you
yeah.
like it's so having a physical copy or having even a digital physical copy of something like something that you physically own uh, is going to be way more beneficial to you in the long run because at any point these corporations can say, hey, fuck you, we own the rights to this, you no
Yeah.
longer like we're taking it off of the platform. Like look at Sesame Street, like how many people love Sesame Street. I don't think it's going anywhere, but there was this whole stink about how like
Right.
how accessible it is to people as well as like the information it provides to young kids. And then that I think was what Max bought it, and they were just like, we just fucking don't feel like doing it anymore, so we're taking it off of here or whatever. And so like,
Yeah, yeah.
that could happen with literally anything that you have bought from a corporation. So
One of my favorite movies of 2022 and partially the inspiration for the the chronology of Stashbox because we jump around like in the timeline, right? Like I have scenes that happen before that take place after in the book, right? And I cribbed a little bit of that from Barbarian, but you can't buy a physical copy of that unless it's bootleg or it's region locked for another region because they don't make them because it wasn't a theatrical release and like that blows my mind, right? Like I'm sure there's some profit to be eked out there or whatever, right? Like but yeah, it's really important to have physical stuff. That's why again, like I think Kickstarter's so great, like because we're handcrafting this stuff, right? I mean,
mhm.
as much as you can, handcraft a comic, but yeah, I think physical media is super important, and I think it's nice to have stuff on the shelf.
It's cool to
And
have just thing in the background, dude. Like fucking all the shit I have in my background, like
yeah,
physical,
you can't see because my lights aren't on, but these are all books.
So I mean, yeah, it's. But I'm super stoked. I think that everybody out there should go and back Stashbox, get the physical, get the digital, whatever you can afford. It looks really dope.
Let's
But I'm
push this
excited.
some bitch over the edge now.
Help
Yeah,
me!
please, I'm drowning.
I got a weird, gross comic with drugs and violence and sex, and I need somebody to make it
I'm
real.
telling you, if the sex and the gross violence and the drugs don't get you, I mean, like, I can't help you.
The most frustrating thing about this whole thing is like we have such a cool reveal for like what the thing is, but like and it's such a spoiler, right? Like, but it's like it's
It's
such a unique thing. Like,
Hmm.
whatever you think is inside the box, right? It's like it's not what you think it is, and like once you find out what's inside the box, what it actually
What's in the
does,
box? What's
right?
in the
Exactly. What it
box?
actually does is I don't think anything that I've ever seen anyone do before, right? And it was like, and it was all born out of like my need to create a horror figure, right? Like not like a Art the Clown or whatever, but like so many of these things are just their bodies. They're like they're two arms, two legs, a head, and a torso, right? Like the xenomorph is one of the best, like horror designs ever, right? Like H.R. Giger. But at the end of the day, two arms, two legs, head, body, right? Like Freddy Krueger, Jason, all of these,
Right.
horror things, they're all just this. And then, you get into the weird shit, like you get into stuff like what's that, Arrival. right? And it's like we got aliens, but they're like tetrapods. They're just like these crab things,
And
and
you
it's
don't
like
really ever see him either, and it's like, ah, damn, you know.
right, but it's like, but that's interesting because it's like, well, what is this
Fucking
thing? Like, how does it operate? And it's like,
Paranormal Activity is the same way. You don't see the fucking thing that's the whole movie's about. Like that's and it's like
right.
they did. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to go into. But
I was talking on I don't know if I was in a conversation or we were on a podcast. We were talking about Paranormal Activity, and somebody really liked it, and I was like, it's not my favorite movie, but that scene in Paranormal Activity where the expert shows up, like at the end of the movie, and he walks in and he's immediately like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. No
Yeah.
way. That is the best part of the movie.
Dude.
There is nothing more horrifying than like, thank God the experts are here, and the experts are like, too weird, gotta leave. Like
I could gush for hours about Paranormal Activity because it's up there with one of my favorite horror like scary films because I love found footage films, but two, like ghost found footage films or whatever. It's like that movie, as low budget as it was, to me, like for some reason just scared the absolute shit out of me. And I understand like it's not for people, a lot of people, but it's like, goddamn, dude,
so are you a big Blair Witch guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. I think that Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity are amazing films. Maybe not in terms of like how much I like them, but I think they're amazing because I love when someone makes a movie for like $30,000 and it goes on to gross like $300 million. Like nothing makes me happier than that, right? Especially now where everything is like IP from 80 years ago,
Yeah.
and we're just like filtering out the same shit water to our kids for the last 20 years, right? Like, and people wonder why like the Minecraft movie did so well. It's because like the things my kid has watched for the last 20 years have been 80-year-old superheroes and 50-year-old Star Wars characters, right? And it's just like, no wonder they're worshiping like lemon Tic Tacs, like minions and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's anything that's not something that's been around for like a fucking 2 generations.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
Hey,
we were
happens
talking
to me all the time, so it's all
shit.
good.
Oh my God,
Blair Witch and Paranormal.
Paranormal Activity. So I think it's so great that those things make so much money, but more so than that, they work so well as ghost stories. And when I mean ghost stories, I mean like ghost stories you would tell around the campfire, right? And it's like the first time you hear this story, I'm a full grown adult. You know, we're in the middle of the woods. It's dark. We're sitting around a campfire and someone's telling me this ghost story and it's perfect. It's horrifying. It's creepy. And I'm scared. I know fucking aliens and ghosts and all this shit don't exist, but like I'm still scared in the moment because the setting is so great. You tell me the story the next morning in the afternoon and it's like, I've heard it before and also it's not frightening, right? Those movies work so well once. Like we go to see Paranormal Activity in the theater and I'm like 10 out of 10. Right? Like what a tremendous experience. The audience is going nuts, right? Like the vibes are absolutely wretched. Paranormal Activity is not a movie that works for me on a repeat viewing. Right.
Fair. Yeah.
And I don't think that, and I think that some movies are just like that for some people. And it's like, it's a really great experience. In a lot of ways, I feel the same way about kind of the opposite film, which is like Nosferatu, right? Like I absolutely love Nosferatu, but it's sort of like a singular experience, right? Like, you know, I'll probably watch it 1 or 2 more times, but I'm not going to put it in like over and over and over again because it's kind of got there's this unique quality to it where it works really well the first time. And then after that, you're kind of just like, chasing that dragon again for that thrill.
We're
you
gonna
know what I mean?
absolutely have to have you back on because like fucking I want to talk about Paranormal Activity now, but shit. But I can't wait for how many times I'm gonna read Stashbox because I'm fucking good at transitions sometimes. So
no, you're not.
Thanks, guys.
Where can people find you? Where do people need to go?
Go to stashboxcomic.com or search for it on Kickstarter. You can look for me on Blue Sky, Ian Face. You can go to my website, ianmondrick.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. That's basically it. I don't know. I show up in some Discord servers from time to time, but who knows what that even is.
And it's like, honestly, I wish it would have taken off more, but it's fine. It's for the conversation for the other day. But
I'm a big proponent of Discord, not necessarily as like a social media platform, but like as a really great kind of cloistered environment to have conversations with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, like Frederick and I have a Discord just for Stashbox and everything goes in there. And it's a really great place to like look for conversations. You're not checking email threads for attachments and shit. And then I have a couple of good Discord servers that are me and like 7 or other people that just talk shit and like, you know, discuss movies or whatever. I think it's really good for that. But I think as far as like bigger Discord servers where you try to market and things like that, it just doesn't seem to really
there's too much.
Well.
It's too many steps, I think, too, as well. I'm like getting involved in it. But
speaking of tough learning curves, Discord also. Holy shit. I feel pretty comfortable with like apps and computers and shit. But
when
Discord
somebody figures
took me
out, let me know so I can make our Discord better. Because It's
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on here. I hate that we missed Fred, but hey, the show must go on, right?
Well, thank you so much for having me, guys. It
Yeah,
was an
dude.
absolute pleasure meeting you.
hell yeah.
Get back to
Likewise.
Wawa again soon, I guess, or don't. I
Don't,
forget I
please.
said
It's
that.
fine.
Not. You know how you told me later you'll cut something out? Just cut the Wawa thing
Yeah,
out.
Yeah.
It's
I
like the most
grew up-
controversial.
Everything
thing
else I
grew up-
said, 10 out of 10, perfect, no notes. The Wawa thing, fucking strike it from the record.
I grew up going to Sheets, so
Yeah, we have sheets too. I don't mind. I don't mind sheets. I have a sheets really close to me.
I like heading on down to the Waggles. That's where I like to go. So,
Although I will say the sheets near my house is crazy because every Friday and Saturday night from a certain time it turns into Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
yep.
damn,
Right?
dude,
Like
fucking
I'll show
join
like
that
I
shit.
went
That sounds fun as hell.
it's literally a 3-minute car ride to the sheets from my house. And I was bopping down there to just to get tonic water or something. I can't remember. And I pop in and the parking lot is just blown out and I'm just like, holy shit. I didn't know there were all these tuners in the area or whatever. But and then I was that's the joke, right?
Some things never change because that's the way it was in high school for me. But
yeah.
it was pickup trucks and Ford Mustangs.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, thanks for having
Thank
me.
you so much.
Sorry if I kept you too long. I have
No,
to
no,
do some
no,
time
you're
off.
good.
Absolutely, bro.